Welcome back to the channel. In today's video episode, I am interviewing Tim Martin. He's the co-founder and COO of Citizen Remote. They're essentially a remote work platform, as far as I understand it, that helps you find anything from, like remote work visas to travel programs to digital nomad jobs, insurance for remoters, and they also have a new app that they just released. So tell me a little bit more about what inspired you to launch this forward-thinking platform
Yeah,
website.
well, yeah. Well, first off, thanks, Mike, for having me on. I appreciate the time and the opportunity to be on your platform and speak to your large and growing community.
Sure
It's
thing.
it's been an exciting kind of journey to get me to where I'm at today. Pretty much, I started traveling shortly after university, or I guess college, as we call it in the U.S. I've probably been out for too long to where I switched that up.
Uh-huh.
And I started traveling through the UK, through Southeast Asia, Thailand, Bali specifically. Ended up in Australia for quite a few years, and then followed my partner, my girlfriend at the time, to Italy and now Spain. And so with all of that, I kind of realized, what this international community is all about, what it's like traveling and experiencing different cultures. And that really kind of drove me to what is, how to find and stay longer than what that 3 month is. Because I personally like to
uh,
set up long term in a place as opposed to just like kind of travel really quickly. Mostly,
so you're
I
more
think
of a
it,
slow mad, as they call it. Slow mad.
yeah, I think so. And I think it just comes down to the fact that, if you travel so often, it's expensive, like I like to
It
set up
does
and
add up.
it's so expensive. And I like to also like get a different feel for the culture. And you get that when you stay longer and like are forced to figure out what day-to-day life is like a bit more.
I agree with you 100%. I've been in Thailand just over 3 years, and I haven't really left the country more than like a handful of times just for some visa runs. And that's
Yeah,
about it. So I'm pretty
yeah,
happy with my home base in Samui.
yeah. Yeah, man.
So I
I
hear you.
mean, the following that I see, like, watching you and your videos that you post and stuff, I mean, it looks just beautiful where you're at. So I'm gonna make it back over there
Paradise.
soon.
Yeah, reading through your description on LinkedIn, you say that you've traveled through Indonesia, Thailand, the UK, and Australia as well, as you touched on earlier.
Yeah,
So I'd
yeah.
love to hear more about like which countries you really fell in love with.
Yeah, I mean, so I think out of all of those, Australia was probably my favorite just to live
Uh-huh.
long term. And I think it honestly comes down to, like, as I mentioned, I really enjoyed experiencing new cultures, but you kind of eventually realize how much you appreciate your kind of own upbringing and what you've done in life. And so I think I really enjoyed a different style of what is typical culture for me, which I found in Australia. And so that
Ah,
I think that's why I like that. But I also really loved living in Italy, because I actually lived with my partner and her family for like 3 months and just had to like learn Italian on the fly, and that was really
wow.
cool and
Are you
exciting.
good at learning a foreign language? Is something I'm not very skilled at.
Terrible, terrible.
Yeah,
So, but
same.
I think it's because it comes a lot into speaking English. But when I was living like with her family, like in the house next door, they only spoke Italian, and so I was actually
Mm.
forced every day to practice, and I learned it pretty quickly. Like, I mean, I'm not fluent or anything, but I was able to communicate, by the end of that
Yeah.
time very easily. So, I see this one
Just enough
post
to
all the
get
time.
by is really all you need.
Yeah. Yeah. And if you practice it and are forced to speak it, it comes a lot easier.
My
So
girlfriend's Thai. We've been together over 2 years now, and her English was already really good when I met her because she studied in college. And then now I'm barely learning Thai, and her English just keeps getting better because we
yeah,
speak English all
that
the
was the
time. It's
same
a
with me.
universal language.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
It's
yeah.
nice. So I guess to kind of finish on, like what inspired us today, I don't know if I even finished that. It was pretty much,
Uh-huh.
I eventually set up in Spain and realized that I kind of grew to have a bit of an expertise on how to stay longer in places, which kind of launched us
Mm.
into Citizen Remote. And then I also realized, from my background, which is entrepreneurship, I went to Kansas State University, got a degree in entrepreneurship, with a focus on, or an emphasis on accounting and political science. I realized that there's like so much of a gap in kind of I wouldn't call it disparity, but a plentiful amount of resources that are sporadic, and you have to kind of
Mhm.
pick the pieces up. And so with that, I was just like, it would be so nice if there was just like this one area which you could figure out, whatever it might be when moving abroad.
It's a
And
great
so
idea. I've used the website numerous times just for research purposes and looking up best places for digital nomad visas, that sort
yeah,
of thing.
appreciate it. Yeah. And that's just, digital nomad visas is we're really trying to polish that section off before stepping out into something else. But, our vision, if you can see from the site, is any indication, and then our app as well, which is still in beta. Um, you know,
Tell me a little bit more about the app. I was just looking through it, but obviously still work in progress, right?
Yeah, definitely still a work in progress. And it's a really good time to come in and like get in now because eventually, we're going to have a premium area, and you can still, it's free at the moment, but you can lock in that very, very inexpensive premium membership for what all we're going to build out. But
Nice.
we have so much that we're putting into that, which comes with our job board. We're building out a visa portal specifically for every digital nomad visa. We're going to have living and accommodation, eSIMs. I mean, there's so much that we're going to do. It's pretty much going to be your one place where you go in and
One
you
stop shop.
yeah, which I hate to say, but it's true. And so yeah,
Awesome. I remember I spoke to, I think his name's Peter.
yeah,
He's the managing director there. I spoke to him like maybe 7, 8 months ago, and we were talking about different ways where we could collaborate. So something I'm willing to explore
yeah,
with
absolutely. I
you as
mean,
well offline.
yeah, Peter's a great guy. I was just on a meeting with him 5 seconds before this. He's the other founder as well, along with David, who we just
Cool.
brought on not too long ago, who's kind of on the visa services side of things. But Peter's a really great entrepreneur, and we're all kind of the three founders are all expats from the U.S. living in Europe.
Mhm.
So David's in Italy, Peter's in Denmark, and I'm in Spain. So
Wow.
it's quite fun. It's
That's
fun to
awesome.
have a team around you and build a product that you're really passionate about.
I've been staying over. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree. So that's kind of what I'm doing with my remote work community on LinkedIn and Facebook. So Facebook, almost 10,000 members. It's growing really fast lately. It's just taken off. And then LinkedIn, about 7,000. So
Wow.
I'm kind of building a community, but I haven't really quite figured out how to monetize it yet.
Mm-hmm.
Still working on that piece.
Yeah, man.
But it's growing fast.
Yeah, I mean that's to have a
Encouraging.
community of that size is really good. So I mean, definitely ways to monetize it. There's
Yeah,
definitely
definitely.
so
Uh-huh. So I was reading through your LinkedIn profile and it said you are very inspired to create a borderless world. So tell me a little bit more about that. What does that mean to you, and how are you doing that with the website?
yeah. So I mean, that's something that again, it just comes down to the fact of it having an international mindset, like who I was before I started traveling to who I am now, and the way like my perspective on the world and how it operates has completely changed. And
Mhm.
I guess you see what these photos of the globe, and everyone's like, oh, we're on one little ball, but you don't realize it until you actually get out there, right? And see that. And the fact that we have these artificial borders for all intents and purposes. I mean, there's some people are building walls in places around the world, but they're
I
artificial borders. And so like
mm,
the fact that we can't,
feel
a
great sound walls.
citizen, yeah, and a citizen who doesn't do anything wrong, who's just a good person, who helps other people, who provides, who doesn't like take more than he gives, like that person shouldn't be like prohibited from traveling anywhere
Penalized.
they want. Yeah. And I think
Absolutely.
that that's the majority of people out there are going to provide and work and try to give back a bit. And so I'd like to ideally create, which is what our kind of end goal is, with Citizen
Uh-huh.
Remote, an easy access and pathway to wherever you want to live in the world. And I think
Awesome.
governments are slowly getting there.
We won't discuss politics. I'm assuming you're anti-Trump, myself included. I
Yeah,
think that stands to reason, right?
yeah. He's
But
not the
yeah, I mean,
nicest
you
guy.
often hear stories about astronauts. They go to outer space, right? And they come back and they say, "Oh, there we don't see any borders from space. It's just all one continent, one piece of land."
Yeah. And like
The
it's
artificial.
also, like the hoarding of resources. Like if we just, I don't know, if you collaborate, I mean, this is kind of getting into a different territory, but if you collaborate and utilize resources for, everyone instead of kind of hoarding them in your country and, raising up prices. I mean, there's so many negative effects of that. I mean, I understand it to build up, infrastructure, et cetera, and make your population a bit more well off. But I think eventually we'll get to the mindset of helping your neighbor, which is a country right next door to you, as opposed to not.
Yeah, it's just a matter of time,
Slow and steady.
especially with remote work going the way it is, and more the digital nomad movement is continuing to gain momentum ever since the pandemic.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think like 81% of hybrid work in 2024. I read a statistic. It's going to be
Really?
about 81% hybrid
Jeez.
slash remote.
Yeah. I mean,
So
and you
it's
just get all these people, who
big
work
cost.
remote full the time, all the time. And they're just like,
Uh-huh.
I can do this over in Portugal, or I can do this in
Of
Thailand.
course.
And they're like, why would I not do that? Especially with cost of living and stuff. And
Sure, it's a
um,
no-brainer.
yeah, it is a no-brainer.
I spend about 30,000 baht a month over here on a paradise island. That's roughly 900, about $1,000 a month.
Jeez.
Just living pretty bare bones. I'm not going out partying all the time or traveling around buying plane tickets. Um, but yeah, it's definitely possible if you're thrifty.
Yeah, and you're from Texas, right? So, I
Yeah,
mean, comparatively, what's the?
Austin.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Lived in Austin many years, but now Austin's becoming one of the most expensive cities in the world to live.
Yeah.
Second, probably to like San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then you go out, like when I was there, I would walk outside, I see homeless people everywhere. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So the quality of life's not good. The cost of living keeps getting higher and higher. Stupid.
Well, enjoy
So
Thailand then, right? I mean,
exactly.
that's why you travel and live somewhere else. So,
Yeah. So what I wanted to ask a question about tech companies. They're laying off tens of thousands of employees, right? What do you think those why do you think that is, and what do you think is going to happen to those that fresh talent that's
yeah,
working at companies like Google and Facebook, these companies?
yeah. So I think a lot of it is because, with this rise in remote work, they also started creating all this automation tech, and they're realizing that, all you really need is a few developers to do, 90% of the work on these, software development companies. And so,
Sure.
as, Chat GPT comes out and all of these other kind of AI driven, almost helpers, they're realizing that they don't need as much as they currently have employed, which I think, obviously the economy
Mm-hmm.
has something else to do with it. But I think what's going to happen is that those, very, very skilled employees are going to then just kind of go not necessarily a freelancer route, but they're going to start creating innovations, that they've
Definitely.
experienced where they're at. And then I think also a huge priority of those people is the continuation of remote work and that freedom it provides for them. And so I think we're just
Mm-hmm.
going to see, those workers not only develop and innovate abroad, but then continue to propel that international mindset of I'll hire someone in, South Africa to Argentina to Australia. I don't care where they're at. I want, almost a company open 24 hours a day to where, we have a team, somebody on the team always working.
Or
Um,
fully automated.
yeah,
If you don't
exactly.
need employees, there's a website called There's an AI for that, and it's literally got thousands and thousands of different AI technologies. There's
No
new ones
way.
popping up every day. So
Yeah.
it's
I
a
mean,
great answer.
it's going to be a brave new world. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. For better or worse, I don't know if I really think it's a good direction we're heading, but
Yeah, I had
only
an
time.
interesting conversation with Sanad Sintach, who's over in Bosnia and Herzegovina, and we were kind of talking about where that AI is headed. Because I'm like, is this all going to be something to where we eventually push this to AI just creating stuff for us? But at the end of the day, it comes down to there is still someone creating it it's all that AI is being pulled from a source that is creating new content to an extent. So whether you're
Sure.
the person who just copies other content, well, now there's automation for that. But if you're that original creator of you're actually doing that really good research and going through and doing all that, well, you're safer than I guess someone else who doesn't kind of create that original content is.
Yeah, just keep learning new. Important thing is just keep learning new skills. It might replace your job, but how are you going to use it to further your own development?
Exactly.
Just great jobs using AI. So I've created other videos on this channel about how to use ChatGPT to write ebooks and LinkedIn articles, all that sort of thing.
Oh,
You can
nice.
check those out.
Yeah.
But another question, we're getting towards the end of the interview here, at least the questions that I have. I just want to ask, like, since you're kind of an expert in this field, where do you see remote work in the next 5 years? We've kind of touched on this already.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it
But
kind of goes back. I probably already mentioned one way or another, but very international. I think that as
work
global
from anywhere.
companies, yeah, as global companies see the benefit of hiring someone from the Baltics, who you don't have to pay as much just because of their cost of living over there, as opposed to someone in Africa who's now becoming a very tech forward area in a lot of places. You're going to see this global mindset and kind of a shift in what the salaries, maybe not necessarily salaries, but what is expected from typical what call American or someone from the UK, and they're making hand over fist and doing almost less work because of honestly, just they're doing less and making more. And so I think we're going to kind of see that even out to a bit, which should be beneficial. But yeah, I see remote work just being more international, more global.
Perfect case study for that is the Philippines. Look at how many virtual assistants there are over there. You can hire somebody to do pretty much anything that you can think of on Fiverr or find them on LinkedIn, wherever, for $5 an hour, which is a decent salary for them, but it's very cost effective for the employee.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it benefits all parties, and their quality is very, very good. So
Yeah,
yeah, totally agree.
yeah, stands to reason. So yeah, I'm going to leave a link in the description where they can learn more about Citizen Remote. But any other things you'd like to share? I think that's all the questions I have.
Yeah, no,
We can talk a little bit more about it.
yeah, no, I mean, I'm probably the worst salesman ever, because I just don't like to
I don't need.
chirp on
Yeah,
myself. But Citizen Remote, it's a really cool product, and it's a really good time to adopt it and be an early adopter and lock in, like especially if you want to be premium.
yeah.
Check out, engage with us if you're wanting to travel internationally. We can help with that. But yeah, no, I'm very, very passionate about Citizen Remote. So
It's looking great, and the website looks even better than the last time I checked it out. Do you know how much traffic you're getting every month? Ballpark?
yeah, so at the moment we're getting like 50K month over
Oh,
month,
that's pretty.
and we're
That's pretty
growing
good.
about 50%. Last I checked, maybe just under that now, but yeah, we're still growing quite a bit month over month, and so that's really exciting. And we're actually, I appreciate that you said you liked the website, because we're like, okay, we need to redesign this, but because we were like redesigning or still developing the MVP of our app as it's in beta still, like we just don't have the time to dedicate to the site. So eventually we'll get a completely new look on
It's
there.
good enough, right?
Yeah,
It's not never going to be perfect as long
right.
as it's easy to use. And I've also noticed you have a visa wizard, which is kind of a neat feature where you can just answer a few simple questions like, do you have a valid passport? Do you have a remote job? And then it'll say which visa do you qualify in which countries.
And so we're
So,
actually like, I appreciate you saying that, because we are completely redoing that. It'll still be the same kind of flow, but we're actually like
uh-huh.
improving on what it yields and how you can search through all of the locations that it populates. That'll plug in directly with the app that you can then actually go into the portal that we're developing. So, I mean, it's really exciting what we're doing with that Visa Wizard specifically. Yeah, that should actually be out in the next few weeks.
Right now, let me see. Well, probably can't see my screen, but if I say I don't have a remote job, it just immediately says, okay, you need to get a remote job first.
And that should link to our job board, but I don't think we've done that yet.
Oh, that well, it does. Yeah, just say explore remote jobs, and then it
Okay.
takes you to the job board from.
Oh,
Well,
sweet.
Close enough.
Yeah, cool. We'll take it. I'll get that adjusted.
But yeah, I really like the resources, especially. So you can read more about a country, see what they're in, what they have to offer, if they have like good co-working spaces, which I'm guessing that's something you're going to build into the app
Yeah.
eventually.
Yeah, 100%. And that's also, if you are a co-working space, if you're a resource of some kind with the remote work, reach out to us because we would love, like, we already have partnerships where we're growing that network. And so, like, the more the better in terms of just being able for one person to come in and be like, I need a co-working, I want a cafe, I, want to figure out who to connect with around me, which is another feature in our app we have.
One
Yeah.
thing we're actually really missing on Samui, believe it or not, there's not many good co-working spaces to choose from, and I've been thinking for a long time about just launching my own, but I need to find an investor, of course.
Mm.
There's one that's pretty good. I could put you in touch with the owner,
Yeah.
and I'm sure she would love the chance to list it on the site
Yeah, absolutely.
because
I mean,
they
if
don't
you
really
open up
usually have
a
any customers.
Yeah. If you open up a co-working, man, let me know. We'll get you featured. Like, because that would be really
Yeah,
cool.
that would be awesome.
Yeah.
Still, maybe like 3-6 months in from now,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
yeah,
but one thing,
soon.
like, we don't have a lot in Southeast Asia at the moment. Like, that's partnerships that we're trying to craft. So, I
Mm-hmm.
mean, that's why I was so excited to chat with you because I think there's so much potential, especially with the community you have over there and the experience you have over there. There's a lot to do in a beautiful region in the world.
And
So,
there's a lot of co-working space, mostly in Chiang Mai, Phuket, and Koh Phangan, and it's great having you on the channel. Where
yeah.
can people find out more and connect with you online?
Yeah. So I don't really have any social media besides LinkedIn. So Tim Marting or find me through Citizen Remote. That's probably the first thing. I'm on the app, so I guess that's kind of the only social I have. But yeah, otherwise, Mike, I
Citizen Remote
appreciate.
app?
Sorry.
Is that the Citizen Remote app?
Yeah, yeah. So you got to download the app, and then I'm one of the few because we have a social section in the app, and
Uh-huh.
so you can actually like technically that is something. I guess that's technically social media, and so I guess I'm on that one. But yeah, either way, I appreciate. I didn't know that we were doing the interview today, which is why I'm in like this all black get up.
That's fine.
But I'm okay
Spur
with
moment.
it. Yeah, best kind, right?
I'll leave a link to all the your LinkedIn and website in the description, so you can check that out there. Thanks
Amazing.
so much for being on the channel, Tim. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
And until next time, take care, stay safe. Peace from Thailand.
Cheers. Thanks, Mike.